Welcome to the first new book releases of April. I'm sorry this video is a bit late today, but we have an interesting little list and I'm very excited to get going. I'm Morgan. If this is your first time here, we'll have timestamps per genre so you can click to whichever is your favorite. And I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was late. Now, let's get started in some fiction. Our first one up is going to be I Cheerfully Refused by Leif Inger. I do believe this is probably going to be more of a literary fiction. It just gives those vibes. This is the tale of a bereaved and pursued musician embarking under sail on a sentient Lake Superior in search of his departed, deeply beloved, book-selling wife. Rainey seeks refuge in the harbors, fogs, and remote islands of the inland sea. Encountering lunatic storms, rising corpses from the warming depths, Rainey finds on land an increasingly desperate and illiterate people, a malignant billionaire ruling class, crumbled infrastructure, and a lawless society. And with himself being increasingly willful, he finds a rebellious streak. This is supposed to be a Gulliver's Travel-esque adventure, somehow. Our next one up is A Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeek. Paris, 1885. Aubrey Turville, a spoiled and stubborn 9-year-old girl, comes across a wooden puzzle ball on her walk home from school. She tosses it over the fence, only to find it in her backpack that evening. Days later, at the family dinner table, she starts to bleed to death. When a medical treatment only makes her worse, she flees to the outskirts of the city, where she realizes that this is the very act of movement that keeps her alive. So begins her lifelong journey on the run from her condition, which won't allow her to stay anywhere for longer than a few days, nor return to a place where she's already been. So it sounds very sad. It's supposed to be Addie LaRue mixed with something that I don't remember. We move from there into romance. Our first one up is going to be The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. Nora McKenzie's entire career lies in the hands of famous NFL tight end Derek Pender, who also just happens to be her extremely hot college ex-boyfriend. Nora didn't end things as gracefully as she could have back then, and now it has come back to haunt her. Derek is her first client as an official full-time sports agent, and he's holding a grudge. Then Derek has set his sights on a little friendly revenge. If Nora McKenzie, the first girl to ever break his heart, wants to be his agent, oh, he'll let her be his agent. The plan is simple: make Nora's life absolutely miserable. If Derek knows anything about the woman he once loved, she won't quit easily. So this one might be a second chance sports. Then we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And this description reminds me a lot of the movie Good Luck Chuck, except in a doubled fashion. Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it's now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second they break up. When a woman slides into his DMs with this same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Their curses will cancel each other out, and they'll both go on to find the love of their lives. It's a bonkers idea, and it just might work. Emma hadn't planned that her next assignment as a traveling nurse would be in Minnesota, but she and her best friend agree that dating Justin is too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an adorable cottage on a private island in Lake Minnetonka. So I think this one is supposed to almost be like a fake dating and a summer relationship fling that obviously will turn into more. Now we move into some YAs, and our first one up is predicted to be in one of the book boxes. I don't remember which one though. Your Blood, My Bones by Kelly Andrew. Wyatt Westlock has one plan for the farmhouse she just inherited: to burn it to the ground. But during her final walkthrough of her childhood home, she makes a shocking discovery in the basement. Peter, the boy she once considered her best friend, strung up in chains and left for dead. Unbeknownst to Wyatt, Peter has suffered hundreds of ritualistic deaths on her family's property. Semi-immortal, Peter never remains dead for long, but he can't really live either. Not while he's bound to the farm, locked in a cycle of grisly deaths and painful rebirths. There's only one way for him to break free. He needs to end the Westlock line. The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Lights, camera, lies. 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mom's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished, and young Belle was the only witness, but she has no memory of it. Rachel is gone, long presumed dead, and Belle wishes everyone would just move on. But the case is dragged up from the past when the Price family agreed to a true crime documentary. Belle can't wait for filming to end, for life to go back to normal. And then the impossible happens. Rachel Price reappears, and life will never be normal again. In fantasy, we have the start of a new series. It's Play of Shadows by Sebastian de Castell, the first of Court of Shadows series. Daemlis Shade Mantagen picked a poor knight to flee a judicial duel. He is a precious little hope of escaping the wrath of Vixen, the most feared duelist in the entire city, until he stumbles through the stage doors of the magnificent Operetto Bellezza and tricks his way onto the company of actors. An archaic law provides temporary respite from his troubles until one night a ghostly voice in his head causes Daedalus to fumble his lines, inadvertently blurting out the dreadful truth. The city's most legendary hero may actually be a traitor and a brutal murderer. We will end with some sci-fis though. One that I am super excited about for this month is Book 6 in the Sun Eater series, Disquiet Gods by Christopher Rocchio. Sun Eater is of course still following Hadrian Marlowe as he recounts his tale of becoming the Sun Eater and all of his exploits and the politics. Epic sci-fi. We're set in humanity in space. 20,000 years into the future, we have a galactic empire. We are at war with intelligent aliens. It's so much and it's so awesome, and I have reviews for it, so you can go check that out and find out more there. And our other one is actually a very interesting case too. It's First Contact by Kim Harrison. This is the first in Eclipse Evolution series where they're making them into only audio and ebooks later. Right now, this month is the audiobook, and then in a few months the ebook version will come out. But between now and June, she is dropping, I think June, it might be July, one of each of these. The first Contact is phase 1, and then we'll have phase 2 and phase 3. And all of this is centered around what would happen after a solar eclipse. She said she was inspired after the 2017 eclipse of, as everybody in the US is, fascinated with this and watching the eclipse happen, what if something else was actually happening because of all of our fascination? In the wake of a solar eclipse, a portal between our world and the paranormal realm opens, and a scientist's life will never be the same. Dr. Renee Cassian knows there are worse things than an attractive man in a uniform drafting her into a secret government project, especially when Major Jackson makes it clear that he isn't bothered by her questionable past. But when her labs come back with a decidedly odd result, the Major is forced to come clean over who the government is actually studying. Renee is shocked to learn her subjects are demonic-looking beings who call themselves neighbors, refugees from a dying world who arrived during the nationwide solar eclipse. As she coincided the release of the audiobook with the fact that we are about to have another total eclipse, just in a few days, a week. That's all the books for this week's list. Maybe you were able to find something new and exciting, and if you enjoyed this, even though maybe it was a shorter one, and you want more books, I have my anticipated releases for the next 3 months video up now. And if you like my style, you can subscribe and come back every Monday to find new books. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see you in the next one.